And then he puts down the sun. You guys saw that? Oh, that is coming in. No, we're in a half. You're at 1W500. Well, and you've been getting the field with nothing. So, Brady did strike out. And even so, right? Like, I don't, that, I understand you're really like.
I got.
I don't know. It's weird. You're at Walmart.
All right. Exciting.
Okay, I'm going to call to order this regular meeting of the,
Call to order this regular meeting of the Board of Education, which was duly noticed on June 4th, 2021, through posting and notification of the press in accordance with Wisconsin 19.84. Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Second.
Okay, we've got Greg and Lisa. And our safety message, Commissioner. Oh, sorry. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, thank you. Okay, safety message.
Okay. I'm going to talk about heat-related illnesses. The human body is normally able to regulate its temperature through sweating until it is exposed to more than heat it can handle. Heat exhaustion and heat stroke can escalate rapidly, leading to delirium, organ damage, and even death. People most at risk include infants and young children, especially if left in hot cars, people 65 and older, people who are ill, have chronic health conditions or on certain medications, and people who are overweight. Heat exhaustion, when the body loses excessive water and salt, usually due to sweating, heat exhaustion can occur. Signs and symptoms of that is sweating, pale, moist skin, muscle cramps, especially when you're working out in hot temperatures, headache, dizziness or fainting, nausea or vomiting, and rapid heat rate. Uncontrolled heat exhaustion can evolve into heat stroke. If that happens, you move to a shaded area, air-conditioned area. You cool off with water, non-alcoholic beverages, apply wet towels, or taking a cool shower. Years ago, when I was playing on the road, we played Colorado, Montana, and I did actually suffer from heat stroke. We were playing tennis one day, and I thought I was doing really good because I stopped sweating. I thought, man, I must be in really good shape. So my guitar player goes, your face is all red. Called the doctor, and he says, we went back to the hotel we were at. I had to jump in the pool with my clothes on because my heart rate was so high. You have to get it down immediately. So stay hydrated. Thank you.
So can I add one more thing? And I think Jim really said it as when you're in that situation, because I also have been in that situation, you don't realize it. So it's good to know the warnings. So if you're with somebody, you can help them out because that was the case with me because I had quit sweating also. And I continued to walk to the clubhouse while golfing. I quit golfing because I couldn't, but I really should have sat down. So thanks.
Well, thank you very, very much. Very good advice. Thank you. Okay, we're up to citizen comments here, and I just wanted to make sure you realize that you have some citizen comments in your packet that came through electronically, and you have some emails that we received this week. So I'm sure you've all had a chance to look those over. Okay, first on our list is Andrea Briermoon. Andrea Briermoon. Hi, Ms. Briermoon. So let me tell you a kind of our protocol here. We give people 3 minutes and we set a timer. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to keep your mask on and if you would first state your name, please, and your address.
Don't start the timer until I find it on my phone. I
Okay.
did not know I was the first one to sign up. People.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Andrea Breyermoon, 339 South Locust Street, Janesville, Wisconsin, 4th Ward. Mask optional policy, rather than masks required or masks not allowed.
Ms.
please-
Breyermoon, we can hear you. You don't have to pull your mask away. It's okay. Just
I need to be able to breathe.
well, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I live in this thing all
Away
day.
from everyone.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Thank you. Please acknowledge the policy of mask optional so that every person is allowed personal responsibility and full choice toward their own maximum health. Mask optional would allow those who want to continue to wear masks that option. Maybe they have allergies or underlying medical conditions or have an in-public fear phobia for which a mask is helpful, or are germ phobic, or maybe they just don't particularly like people, so that masking ensures their privacy and a 6-foot distancing, or maybe they just don't want to wear makeup. Mask optional also allows other persons to not wear a mask. Maybe they have a medical exemption, or PTSD trauma that is triggered by self-masking, or claustrophobia, or need OSHA-required oxygen levels, which masking actually prevents, and that's a legal issue for you guys. Or suffer lung infections from inhaling the germs that breed on a mask that is continually touched and then kept warm and moist by one's own breath. Or gum infections or skin conditions, or as it turns out too, throat cancers, inflammations caused by mask wearing, or psychological trauma due to isolation, depression, paranoia, or distress, all consequences of being masked. This mask optional policy also eliminates the school district liability from any policy for or against masks, as the district certainly is not able to take responsibility for the individual health requirement choices of any given person, child, parent, teacher, staff, or general public. And as you're probably aware, there's many lawsuits being generated, and we're going to have an avalanche soon, and we don't need to be wasting money on that. Also, federal law, Title 21 U.S.C., many parentheses, of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act states that products granted emergency authorization usage cannot be required. Thus, any entity or organization that requires EUA COVID-19 vaccines or COVID-19 tests or masks would be in violation of federal law. So please tonight acknowledge the policy of mask optional so that every person is allowed personal responsibility on them, not on you guys, for their choices toward their maximum health. And that's it. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Oh, and I also know you're between a rock and a hard place because the health department, who I don't know anything about, recommended that you guys continue to have masks. It's only a stupid recommendation, not a requirement, and then it makes you guys look bad or naughty if you go against it. So if there's any way we can help you get out of that circle and out of between a rock and a hard place, let us know, because we want to help you do that. Thank you.
Okay, we have next Brenda Brotzmann.
Hi there.
Hi, Ms. Brotzmann. I don't know if you were paying attention, but we give you 3 minutes. Okay, and please start with your name and your address.
My name is Brenda Brotzmann. I live at 1820 Quixote Drive in Janesville. I've lived in Janesville all my life. I have 4 kids in the Janesville School District at 3 different schools. I also have a teaching degree and was planning this fall to at least sub and hopefully maybe even get a teaching job. But I won't be doing that wearing a mask. I won't be subbing. I won't be teaching. My kids won't be in school if they have to wear a mask. I sent you all an email. I hope that you read it. I hope you took the time to read it, so I'm not going to read it to you. I'm just going to share a little bit about my kids' experiences. So my daughter, Lydia, started 6th grade at Edison this year. Coming from Harrison, she went to Edison because Edison does plays, and she's an actress.
They didn't do a play this year. They didn't do show choir. They did nothing that she was looking forward to. And after 9 months, she still has no friends because she can't see them. She has to be distanced from them. And it's really hard to make friends like that. She also cries pretty much every day. At least every day she has gym because she gets so worked up she can't breathe wearing a mask in gym class. As soon as it got too cold to be outside in gym, both my kids were just so sad. My 8th grader is doing the play at Edison this summer, and he came home and told me that they have to wear a mask while they're on stage, the actors, and they don't have enough mics for everybody. So if you've been to any school plays, you know the kids don't know how to enunciate or project, and so trying to do a play like that with a mask is ridiculous. But they're making custom face masks to look like the kids' faces. Why we're spending money on useless masks instead of mics is beyond me. It's just crazy. My 1st grader loves school, but at conference time, he was telling me, Mom, I have a sore throat and a tummy ache and a headache every day. I'm thinking it's anxiety about school. Something's going on. I talked to his teacher, and I'm like, is he having trouble with friends or trouble with the class? Nope. I think it's the mask, was what the teacher told me. I'm like, awesome. So my kid is getting sick from the mask. My 5-year-old now, he just turned 5, was bit by a dog, attacked by a dog last year, spent overnight in the hospital, had surgery and everything, was very traumatized by the whole mask thing. Thankfully, his teacher in P4J did not make him wear a mask because he was only 4 and he was so traumatized. But now in summer school, they want him to wear a mask, and he's not comfortable wearing a mask. He doesn't want to wear the mask, and I don't see a reason for it. The kids are not high risk. All the teachers who have been worried about it have had the opportunity to be vaccinated. So please, please make masks at least optional, if not forbidden. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we have Amy Hughes. Hi, Ms. Hughes. I don't know if you know us, but we do like a 3-minute timer.
Yes.
And please state your name and your address.
Amy Hughes, 2441 Greenwood Drive in Janesville. And I also have 4 children that have come through the district, and I'm on my last one in high school. And I also am a substitute paraprofessional and also have not subbed all year because of the mask mandates. I'm speaking to employee to please make mask wearing optional for summer school and the fall 2021 school year. We know well after a year that children and teens are not at a risk for contracting COVID, and if they do, the chance of recovery is 99.998%. Making the children wear masks restricts their breathing and oxygen, is degrading to them as developing human beings, and the masks don't work as intended, unless the absolute correct kind is worn with a tight seal and thrown away or washed as soon as it's removed. These kids touch their masks all day, pull them down, take them off, wear them into the bathrooms, outside for recess, gym class, and classroom settings. They are not seeing facial expressions and how mouths form words. They're not seeing how people react emotionally to their behaviors. My teenage son from Craig's High School has this to say: 90% of the kids at school wear their masks and don't talk. The other 10% are like me, sportsy and social, and we pull ours down and actually talk to each other all day. This is equivalent to child abuse in many people's opinions. These kids are not being allowed to freely play and develop the same way as their peers before them. What are we teaching them by requiring them to wear masks all day and instilling fears that are unfounded by the media, CDC, and government? They are looked upon as dirty and contagious if they don't wear one. Then they go out in society and see others not wearing them and think they are dirty and contagious. Masks are for sick people who want to protect others or immunocompromised who want to wear a mask to protect themselves. Never before have we required that healthy people who may or may not have COVID or symptoms wear masks out of show of respect for others. The cons of doing this far outweigh the pros. These kids need to breathe fresh air and oxygen and not breathe in their own exhaled and coughed out germs, which is the natural way to get rid of germs. The virus itself is too small to even be stopped by a mask. We really are being counterproductive by making them wear the masks. Let these kids breathe freely the way God intended for them to breathe. Teachers who want to have been vaccinated and kids kids pose no threat to adults or teachers. Also, we need to teach our kids healthy interactions with others and not separation, quarantining, not being able to play with each other during indoor recess, not being able to sit near each other at lunch. Almost 200, actually 187 other Wisconsin districts have already lifted their mask requirements, and I feel Janesville should do the same. There's no state or county mandate. People who want the vaccination have had it, and it's time to get these kids and ourselves back to what was normal. For those who follow and respect Dr. Fauci, even he himself has said the masks don't work against the virus. Also, some might use the argument that 3 children in the U.S. under 18 have died of COVID. That's 3 out of 74.2 million, which I can't even get on my calculator to do that. It's 0%. So thank you for your attention to this matter. And again, I implore you to vote to please make mask wearing optional from here on out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Claire Dish. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Hi, am I pronouncing that right? Is the last name Dish? Okay, welcome. 3-minute timer. Your name and your address, please.
It moves. Okay. So my name is Claire Dish, and I live at 1717 Doubletree Drive here in Janesville. I am a mother of 3 kids. I have one in elementary and one in middle school. I am just wanting to express my concern regarding the mask wearing in summer school and moving forward in the fall. I feel it is extremely important to allow for mask wearing to be left up to each individual to decide. I don't feel like this is a decision for the school board to be made. I feel it is the responsibility of each parent and family to make that choice on what's best for them. I want to see our children learning to grow both academically and socially. There's much to be said in the effectiveness of wearing a mask and preventing illness and the danger of face covering that it has caused in the last year. I have seen a decline in the mental and emotional connection in both the students and staff due to the masks. Proper wearing of the mask has not been practiced. There's an on, off, halfway up, under the chin, switch mine, yours is cuter, whatever that goes on. I just don't feel that it is valid to continue this practice. It should be a choice, like I said, for each an individual family and adult moving forward. The teachers were given their vaccinations if they chose to get it. Whether or not a vaccine for children comes out, this will not automatically mean that all parents decide to get this shot for their children under 12. Rock County Health Department has also stated it's time to reopen in full today, right? And I am asking that the school board votes to allow masks to be optional, effective immediately moving forward. I also have, I understand that parents choose to send their kids to summer school, but I question whether or not they realize just how hard it is to keep cool in this humidity while breathing through a mask. I also would be interested to know how many adults, even in this room, would sit for 3+ hours in a non-air conditioned space breathing through a mask. The parents who are against making lifting the mask or making masks optional, could they sit for 3 hours in a non-air conditioned space wearing a mask? I get that there's a lot of concern regarding some wearing and some not wearing and how that is going to be explained to each child, but I feel that's no different than any other controversial topic that we address to our kids on any level. All families are different families, different moral values, different choices. Respect everyone, be kind, use your manners. We are all just doing the best we can. And that's all I got. So I would really appreciate it if we could do mass choice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Next, we have Carrie Nickel. Hi, Mr. Nickel. We have a 3-minute timer, and I'd ask you to, I don't know if anybody pays attention to me out there at all.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for allowing me this privilege to come before you. Last night, I made contact with the majority of your board members regarding a request that I had. I did it by phone, text, or email, requesting that if you could provide any scientific proof that these masks work Did anybody bring any scientific proof? Because there is none. And now I'm going to address what the CDC put out. And I'm just going to do the age group between 0 and 19 years of age. Recovery rate 99.997 plus. Recovery and survival rate. No reason why these children should be muzzled. I have a child with high functioning autism. He attends a learning academy, and every day it was a living hell. Teachers called me up. He's not wearing his mask. And then I would go to talk to him, go to the school to talk, try to calm him down. And I'd go in the room in the school building, and the air velocity for the children wearing these masks wasn't sufficient enough. And I was very disappointed. There's no reason that these children should be muzzled. Not whatsoever. And like I said, I never elected the health department to make a decision for myself or my child. And it's against their civil liberty and constitutional liberties. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and this is my last one. I have Steve Schlitt. Steve. Hi, and welcome.
Thank you.
Please state your name and your address.
Sure.
We have 3 minutes.
All right. I'm Steve Schultz. Do you want the full address?
Yes.
3408 Portland Drive, Janesville. So I am a parent of 2 young kids going into 2nd grade and 4K. And I am here for them. I'm also here for my friends that teach in the school districts. And I'm here to ask for mask choice. Not a mandate, not no masks, not all masks, just mask choice. And I want to thank you for taking this time out of your busy schedules to hear concerned parents and citizens. This is a really important issue. And unfortunately, I feel like it's gotten almost more political than anything, which is unfortunate. My daughter has come home this whole year just discouraged in 1st grade. Her kindergarten year was cut short. Then 1st grade was all masks. And as a developmental age where facial expressions are so important, to see emotion, to hear clearly, to see a frown, to see a smile. And she has not seen that for an entire year. Even at recess, there was masks until like a month or 2 ago, recently. So that, as a parent, breaks my heart, knowing that they're going through that. Now, I know we want to follow CDC guidelines and we want to follow Rock County health guidelines, but I question why all of a sudden Rock County just is fully open right now. You can go into businesses, vaccinated or not, there's no more masks. So does COVID not spread in businesses, large or small, only in schools? It's illogical. Also, for the last year, some of us have been working from home, had a little more free time on our hands, and we kind of dug in a little bit to the science on this whole thing. Reading medical journals for the first time in my life. Watching YouTube videos of internationally renowned biologists, immunologists talking about COVID vaccine and masks. And I'm stumped at why some aspects of the medical community say masks are ineffective, especially retail masks. They're not N95s. Just breathe right out the side, right out the top. And it's not stopping the minuscule size of COVID-19 virus size. So I don't understand why there's this contradiction between the CDC and all these other scientists. Why can't we listen to both sides and make an educated, informed decision as parents and adults for our kids? So my time's almost up, but I just encourage you guys to just listen to what's going on outside of the CDC and Rock County Health. Listen to other scientific voices that are world-renowned, and let adults make informed, educated decisions on mask choice for our kids and for the teachers and staff. I'll respect my time is up. Thank you.
I want to thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, do we have any others? Where is that at? We don't? Okay, all right, well, thank you guys. Thank you, everybody who came in to speak. I appreciate that. Okay, we're on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to?
Motion to approve.
Okay, I do. And so, I'm sorry, Commissioner Paul, second. Okay, any discussion on this?
Yeah. I would just, for sake of where the consent agenda, where'd it go? Did I miss something there? Nope, that's it. Bear with me a minute.
You got 3 minutes.
There we are. I'd like to just set aside 2.6 for a moment.
Setting aside 2.6. Okay. Okay, well, that's not the original motion was to accept the whole thing. Do we have to redo the motion then?
You say,
Amend
you have
it?
to renew it with the exception of 2.6.
I consider that a friendly
Amendment?
amendment.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Commissioner Paul, you okay with that? Yes. Okay. All right, so setting aside 2.6.
Vote on the amended motion.
Yes, let's vote on the amended motion, first of all. Okay. So, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. All right, Commissioner Dommershausen, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Just for a moment, I just have a question. What we're approving is the restructuring of combining 2 spots of their own. I didn't quite know that. Is that right? So without discussion, we're combining 2 spaces together. Is that correct?
Well, we talked about this before.
Did we?
Yes, and we got a memo on it.
We've had it on the agenda
I remember, yeah.
2 other
okay.
times. There have been.
But I thought
3
we'd have a little
memos
discussion
since-
on it.
Yeah.
I'm not against it.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring it up that we're doing that. I wish we would have had a separate discussion on it,
Okay.
just for protocol, nothing else. Because I have no concerns with what you're doing and that. So that was my whole point,
Okay.
is bringing out.
Okay. Anything else?
Motion to approve, what is that, 2.6?
Okay. Commissioner Murray, and Commissioner Millard. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, very good. Okay, so we need a vote to pass the rest. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve that?
Betcha.
You're on a roll. Okay, and a second to Commissioner Ardrey. All right. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so, Mr. Gardner, we have a presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you. I have the pleasure of introducing you to Mr. Chris Menenwald. He comes to us with vast experience in secondary education. As our new Director of Secondary Education, he was introduced to you by Director DeGraff at our last board meeting, and we have him here tonight just to spend a couple minutes introducing himself to you. He comes to us from Monroe. Come on up, Chris. Congratulations.
Thanks, Scott. The first thing I'd just like to say is thank you all for, you're not hired until all of you say yes. I was watching on the screen so I'm really excited to be here. I've been in education for about 25 years. All of them have been at the secondary level. It was a process in the interview process of learning more about Janesville and learning more about the position, and I got more and more excited. So I'm finishing up at Monroe. I just told Steve today when we were talking, I packed boxes today, so it's been a pretty emotional last few days for me, but I'm really excited to be here and really thankful that I have this opportunity. I told everybody in the interview committee that I might not be the most talented person around, but I'll work my tail off for you. I really will. So I'm happy to, I don't know if you have questions or anything about me. Some of you are like, I know that last name because you know my wife, because she worked for Catholic Charities and Social Services here for quite some time. She's much better looking and just better. I'm just going to tell you that she was the better one, right? Because she could be watching right now, so I'm smart enough to say that. So,
Welcome.
thank you.
Welcome. Any questions? Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much and welcome. Awesome. Okay, 3.2, Superintendent Update.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. Yes, 10 weeks. I'm doing way better. Thank you. It's my honor tonight to just share out with the board and really the community some recent recognition that the school district received from the Janesville Police Department. They held their awards ceremony just a week or two ago, and the district was recognized by the JPD as the Law Enforcement Service Award Business Partner of the Year. This is really, another example of the great partnership that exists between the district and the JPD, and the two specific things that were really discussed in terms of why this award was given to the district this year revolved around the COVID pandemic and the need to pivot really on no notice last spring when we really didn't know what we didn't know even, right, compared to where we are now. And JPD was really worried about, making sure they had enough, safety stuff for their officers who had to continue to interact, as part of their work with the community. And so the district, when we were closed, got a bunch of stuff into their hands for PPE and cleaning supplies and sanitizing supplies. But even more importantly than that, what they were really concerned about was all sharing a close space at the police department. And if they, started to have spread amongst their officers, their ability to provide services to the community would become in question. And so the chief approached me and asked if the district would be willing to partner with the department to use schools, which were now, virtual, to allow them to put satellite offices out around the community, to divide their team up into small subunits, and to keep them segregated from one another so that if they did have a case, it would be, it would be contained within that small cohort, if you will, right? And so we literally pivoted and did that within a matter of a couple of days. I think the chief and Dan and I met on like a Thursday or Friday, and by next Monday, we had that process going. And so just a couple of great examples of the partnerships that go on between the district and the department, to keep our officers out of harm's way in this particular instance and to position them to be able to serve the community. And we just enjoy so many wonderful benefits as a result of that relationship. Which brings me to the second part of my report, and that's the Summer PACT program. You might recall 2 summers ago at Jackson Elementary, the department, the police department, and the district piloted a project to try to improve attendance for students who were struggling to come to school. And you might remember a presentation by Principal Moisen sharing out some data about like some significant improvement in the attendance of some children as a result of that pilot project. Well, we had planned to expand that program last summer, but of course the pandemic shut that down. So I'm happy to say we're moving forward this summer with a significant expansion of that program. In addition to Jackson Elementary continuing with the program, Craig High School, Parker High School, Edison, Roosevelt, Kennedy, and Jefferson will all be added to the program this year. And we're excited about, again, that relationship that goes on between that principal and that liaison officer. And, the idea is to go out again, and it's really about relationship building. It's about problem solving. It's about finding out what barriers are in place, preventing a child from being in school and removing those barriers, and rallying community resources around that particular child or family if that's what they need. And the bottom line is we know that when kids come to school, they have a much better chance of passing classes and learning and you know, having friends and doing all the things that school's all about, right? And when kids are absent a lot, those things all become in jeopardy. And so we're really excited to expand that partnership. And as we see that pilot proceed, we'll continue certainly to share more information with you. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you very much. Do you guys have any questions or comments? That's pretty awesome. Thank you.
Nice.
Okay, 3.3. Approval of administrator's recommendation for Franklin Middle School principal. Mr. Gardner.
Thank you once again. Kurt Krieger is no stranger to the School District of Janesville. He started in 1994. I was lucky enough to work with him at Franklin during his time there. We taught together there, but prior to that, he was a FIAD teacher at Roosevelt. I can't tell you how excited I am to recommend Kurt as the principal of Franklin. It was, how do I say, it was just kind of bizarre going back to Franklin and introducing him to the staff, pending board approval, of course, that he would be the principal at Franklin because we kind of grew up there together. And so tonight I'm asking you to approve his appointment as Franklin Middle School principal.
Third.
Okay, we're past it. Yep. Yeah. All right. Any questions or comments?
Any questions or comments? Okay,
Great choice. Thank you.
yes.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great, wonderful. Thank you very much. And don't go anywhere.
Yep, I'm staying right here.
Okay. Recommendation for the coordinator of social studies and fine arts.
I would like to, on behalf of Allison DeGraff, recommend Ms. Lindsay Sales for the curriculum coordinator position of social studies and fine arts. It's my understanding that she was one of the best candidates they had spent many years, in fact, I believe 13 in the Elmbrook School District, has a lot to offer, and both Allison and all the members of the committee were very excited to recommend her per the memo that you see in front of you or saw in the board packet. So I would ask the board to approve that recommendation.
Oh, you guys are trying to.
Competition.
You guys are trying to outmove each other. Okay, so I saw Commissioner Herta and Commissioner Paul. All right, any further discussion or commentary? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, thank you so much. Okay, so here we are. We're at 3.5, discussion and consider cancellation of the mask mandate resolution. So Commissioner Pufall, or I'm sorry, Superintendent Pufall, did you want to say anything about this to start off with?
Really not much, because we've talked about this ad nauseum throughout, really frankly, the last year. And you know, the pandemic has evolved, and you know, where the community is at has evolved, and I don't think you really need me to repeat anything that I know all of you already know and have heard. And so I know you know what the health department recommendations are. I know you know what the guidelines are. I know you know what's going on in the community. I know that you've had lots of people expressing, you know, both sides of their, you know, this issue to you. You know, going back to tonight's public comments, as well as a lot of emails that we've all received here recently. And so, you know, there's not a right or wrong answer to any of this, right? It's about risk tolerance, and different people have different risk tolerance, and you know, and so they look at it through that particular lens in their particular situation, right? And so you have the enviable or unenviable task of having to be the voice of the community on what is somewhat of a controversial issue, but nonetheless, you know, I think that our community has great confidence in you to, you know, exercise that judgment on their behalf. And so, without further ado, I turn the stage back over to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Okay, folks, what do you think? Okay, so we've got a motion. Do we have a second? Well, what
I'd like to make a motion to cancel the mask mandate resolution.
And so are you talking about making that, it would be optional, or?
mass optional up to the individual choice,
Okay,
effective immediately.
okay, all right. And a second from Commissioner Ardrey. Okay, any discussion? Go ahead, Commissioner.
So the first thing before we really get into this, and I feel compelled to say this, and I'm compelled from the many emails and people sharing their opinion. Love that part. Love the sharing of viewpoints, really for us as school board members. And I'll say for myself, in my 13th year now, having sat here over the last year is probably the most input we've gotten from the community, minus former Commissioner Lori Stotler talking about paying for parking and some of those things early on. Filled up this room at that time. So it's great to hear from the community. The one thing that I would like to say is the community and the people who share their opinions, the 9 people, whomever they are, have said here, we take our time and we evaluate every issue fully. And the level of condescension that has been shared, quite frankly, pisses me off. So I understand people being emotional about masks. So am I. But there's no way that I've sat here and not looked into the details fully. So and this is one I'm used to having, at least in my mind, knowing what the right answer is. So whether it is kids being in school, masks, whatever it is, I'm used to, in my opinion, having the right answer. And many of this times I didn't necessarily have a clear-cut right answer. So I would really encourage the community to continue to consider what's going on in the school district, whether it is the budget, whether it is curriculum offering, whether we're looking at the condition of our buildings. Thank you for passing the referendums that we've had. But that level of input we need across the board all the time, not just on what I'll call a hotbed issue. Still appreciate the information, but I could not sit here and not express my disappointment and the condescension. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Commissioner Hannawalt, and then I'll go to you, Mr. Murray.
I'd like to maybe mirror some of the things that Greg has said. I think we've all seen a number of emails. We heard speakers tonight. Many of them, I think, were written very logically, with emotion. There were a number that were very sarcastic, and I took offense to them as Greg did. This is a tough topic, and I know that probably all of us have wrestled with this decision. I know I have basically vacillated over the last few days as to yes, no, yes, no. We have about 3,400 students in summer school right now. Summer school lasts, if I'm correct, about 3 hours a day. I think overall our communities, state, nation, are at this point, we're becoming too lax. We've worked so hard to keep the schools open, to make sure that we don't have an outbreak. But I am concerned as to the fact that, as people have pointed out, you can go into Walmart anywhere. I went to the movie today, and about half the people in the Wildwood Theater had masks, half of them didn't. I've been fully vaccinated. My wife and I choose to continue to wear masks, for a variety of reasons. I'll be surprised if this is if we reach a unanimous decision on this, but my concern is that it's too great a cost right now to drop the mask, even if we lose one child or one significant hospitalization. True that the recovery rate is there, but for children under 12, there is no vaccination. And granted, they're only in school 3 hours, and then people can make the argument that, okay, as soon as they leave school, they're engaged at Rockport Pool, Palmer Park, all kinds of other things. I understand that. and those are choices. But I guess I don't want to hear or read about one child and have to live with the fact that what if we would have kept the mask? No guarantee that the mask would have made a difference, but I guess I'm concerned that society in general is becoming too lax because we've been so tired of having to wear them. Thank you.
Commissioner Murray?
Thank you. I'm actually have a lot of gratitude as I sit here today for many things. First of all, I'm so grateful how hard all our staff worked through this. Administration, teachers, aides, on and on, food service, serving over 1 million meals. I'm very grateful for all that we had a successful, what I think is a highly successful school year, one of only few in the state that stayed in school. I'm also really grateful that we had a successful athletic season, that we were able to do that. I'm also very grateful that we were able to keep elementary school open for our young people, like this gentleman talked about, those formative years. And also very grateful for the staff at Arise, our virtual school. I mean, what did their attendance more than doubled, right? I mean, it was just incredible what this school district was able to do. I too struggle with the risk benefit piece, right? But my logic is winning out on this because I happen to umpire baseball. I'm out to the sports complex, and the adjacent field. This is just one example, and Commissioner Hannawell described other, environments out in the world. What's going on? But it's T-ball night, first T-ball night, and on one of the fields, they've broken out this big field into 3 miniature fields for all these 6 and 7-year-olds, and there's hundreds of them out there, playing, touching, running around, screaming, having a good time, lining up elbow to elbow, getting their ice cream after the game. Hundreds and hundreds of parents and grandparents sitting next to each other, maskless. So there's the logic is like, well, and we may be getting a little more relaxed, and I think that's a good thing. And I'm so grateful that I can even be part of this discussion because I think it means we're tracking in the right direction. To me, that's what it means. So, but I'm going to support choice or what was I saying? The motion. Jeez, I've done this a few years. Maybe But I just think it's time. And my last comment is that the gentleman that talked about that first grader in their development, that really struck to my heart and my soul. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Paul.
Thank you. So I just have to say, we're in such a difficult position. My background is not in science. I am not a researcher. And we're having to make decisions right here that impact the health of a whole lot of people. And that's very challenging. I'm sure many of you lost sleep over this, as did I. My 3 kids and my husband wish me luck tonight. Swim lessons at Craig High School, I was wish luck as I left, knowing that we would be facing big, tough decisions. Okay, so I just want to let you know that I'm not a scientist, but I'm trying my best to make a decision and navigate this like we all are. First off, I need to say I'm not an anti-mask person. I am fully vaccinated. Any of my friends and family will tell you that we have taken COVID very seriously, so much so we kept our kids home from school so that our business could stay open and my husband did not have to impact the safety of any of our patients. Very, very seriously. But I'm concerned right now about the double standard that we're facing in our community. The Rock County Health Department has lifted the mandates, but schools are recommended to have masks. There's no guidance for us. Who is helping us make this decision? I do not have a background in epidemiology. Where is the support that we were given back in August and September to make these choices for our children and our family and our staff? And they're frankly not here. So I am concerned about that. And so I'm very conflicted. And I feel that I don't have the right type of information to know what the best choice is. I've heard wonderful information from people who are emails. I mean, I know you received them. I started counting. It was over 50 emails, and I tried to respond to almost everyone if I could, thoughtfully and respectfully, because I appreciated the feedback that these individuals were giving me. But I feel like we need to look at this short term because we have to make a decision right now. People are expecting it. And then also separate for long term. And I would like to invite the health department to help us make those decisions so that we can go forward in knowing what we need to do in our classrooms, in our school district, so that when school returns in the fall, we know that the burden is just not on our shoulders, not as health experts, but that we're receiving the support that we need. But short term, I'm also very concerned because I know what it's like in those unair conditioned classrooms. I've been there as a teacher. My children have been there in summer school, and they are not there this year because I know how awful it is. In most of our elementary schools do not have air conditioning. And these students and teachers and staff are facing being in classrooms that are 85 degrees with masks. I know how awful it is without a mask. And I found it really interesting that Commissioner Millard was talking about heat exhaustion today because we're going to be facing that. And I am not questioning validity or the importance of masks at all. However, are we also considering the serious health nature that conditions, considerations that we need to really think about for our teachers, our staff, and our students who currently do not have an air conditioning break? It's scary. So I am very concerned about what we need to do short term for those students. Also, if you go anywhere in the community, if you are fully vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask anymore. You can shoulder to shoulder up to anyone. We're at full capacity, but the health department says, boy, the school district sure needs to wear masks. I'm pretty sure if we had this meeting anywhere else, we wouldn't need to wear a mask for those of us that are fully vaccinated. So these are concerns. These are double standards, that we're being held to one standard and the rest of the community is being held to a different standard. And that's incredibly challenging to navigate. And I am a bit resentful that that decision has been placed on our shoulders because, again, I am not a health expert. So we've been left on our own to navigate these choices, and it concerns me. Basically, I would like to see us look at this. We're making a blanket statement, but I don't know that we can make a blanket statement because we have a large group of people that are fully vaccinated, and I think we shouldn't be holding them to a different standard in our business that they're expected to be held to across our community. But then we also have our younger students that we need to be careful of and protect and make sure that we're providing a safe environment. However, what about the heat? I don't know. The state of New Jersey has just lifted the complete mask mandate for schools because of heat and humidity. If our students and staff are passing out and not able to breathe because it's 85 degrees, they can't go anywhere to get. I mean, I know Adams Elementary School, maybe the office has AC, but I don't think the students are taking a break in the office. Okay, so I don't have any answers, but I feel like, is this a black and white situation? I don't think that way. I am wearing black and white tonight. I probably should have thought differently. But like, I would like to see some stepping stones. We're here. This is where we were in August and September, and there haven't been a lot of adjustments, even though so much has changed in our community. So much. In fact, the entire community has just had the mask mandate lifted, but nothing has changed for the recommendation in schools, and that is complicated for me. I would like to see some stepping stones. What we need to do at different levels, perhaps different classrooms, perhaps different schools because of the size. Could our classrooms, if students aren't wearing masks outside for recess, a classroom has open windows because it's not air conditioned, isn't the airflow just the same that it is if you were standing right outside that? So I would like to see perhaps opportunities where students and staff who are unable to be vaccinated, who are at a different level, perhaps opportunities where we can reduce mask use and identify areas where it is, if there's lots of congregation, if our population is too high, if we don't have access to fresh air, then we maybe need to consider that differently. But I don't know that it's black and white. I think we need to look at more options. I understand that that's super complicated, and I've spoken a long time, and I appreciate everyone for listening to me, but I don't have a yes or no answer because it's so grayscale. There's so many different ways to look at this. And I just would like some more guidance and some more stepping stones along the way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comment over here? Commissioner, no? Commissioner Hayward?
So I feel like summer school is a good opportunity with it in full force now. And, like you said, John, 3,300 students in it. It's a smaller sampling. It's optional, so it's not required. I think, it could be a stepping stone, and making the mask optional for those who still want to, aren't quite there yet, aren't comfortable with it. That's their choice. And I think that should be their choice because, again, we aren't the experts. The county and city have both opened up. And the students after summer school, like you said, John, too, they're going to go to the movies, they're going to go to the ball diamonds, they're going to go to friends' houses, whatever. They're going to be right by each other. We've had successful large events recently and been okay. Many other districts have lifted it second week of May, and we haven't had large outbreaks from that. So the data also doesn't support it. If you look at the Rock County dashboard, everything's green except one thing, and that's number of new cases in the last 14 days, and it's a light yellow. There's nothing in the district right now, if you look at the district dashboard, so the data doesn't support the need for this anymore. I think this is a good opportunity to take that small step to give everybody the option to do this, just like they have in the rest of the community. I'm concerned about the learning gaps that this causes. I mentioned this last month. When little kids are learning to read, the connection between their eyes and the lips and the reading the lips is kind of how they learn, and that's not there when you have to wear a mask. The facial expressions in the social development, man, I heard a sad story at graduation Thursday night at Craig. A teacher had a student come up to them and say, hey, and the teacher didn't recognize them because all year that person hasn't seen their face. But yet we want to know each student by name and need, but they don't even know their students' faces. There's not a need for this anymore. The kids aren't spreading it. If you've had the chance to get vaccinated, if you want to, if you're staff, and so that's what I'm gonna leave it. I think it should just be everyone's personal choice, and we can move forward.
Anybody else over here? I'm sorry. Let me go to Commissioner Dahmer's house first.
Yeah, I've got kind of a few things I'd like to share. And I respect everyone that talked tonight. They had thoughts for their own. I thought that took courage to come up here. I know how hard it is at times, and I wish to thank them for it. I guess as I go through, I think our current policy is just till the end of June, isn't it? Isn't that what we approved?
It's through the end of July.
to wearing, to whatever, that. But the rest, for almost 2 months, there won't be any mask regardless because there's no school. So I look at that. I'm looking at this next week or two. It could be very important. We don't know what happened on Memorial Day when we both saw millions of people all over this country, on beaches, in businesses, everywhere, not wearing a mask, most of them. We'll know if that was bad or good in maybe a week or two. We need to give that time to develop. Less than 50% of our people are vaccinated in this county. 48 point something is the latest figure released, with only one shot or two. So we have to be cautious. We've made it for over a year, almost a year and a quarter, wearing masks. And I didn't hear anyone dying or getting in trouble for wearing a mask. But I sure did find people dying of a disease that was horrible, one of the most horrible ones in a century. The choice of, we don't make choice of, do you want to wear your seatbelt or not? No, we have rules for that. Have any of the kids tried face shields? That's an answer to not putting a mask on. It helps. We talk about air conditioning, hard to breathe. But I'll tell you what, if the air conditioning was running, it'd be cleaning the air. So the air isn't as clean as it could be. How much? I'm not a doctor, as you have said, or a scientist. I've been at work degraded for wearing my mask at work. And I choose to do that because of a mother-in-law and a wife who have medical conditions. I have diabetes. Not severe, and I don't want it to get there. But I've been degraded because I wear a mask and had shots. You'll find that happening in the options in the schools. Children will be put down for it. I hope not. I wouldn't want to. Businesses cannot ask for identification, I heard one of the men say. We can't do it. I know the same people that didn't wear a mask before they allowed them to open up the stores and the businesses are the same people that come up and degrade you for wearing one. But you still have a 5 to 10% chance of it. And I'll tell something else that I think is a little bit more. My daughter has run a daycare center for 30 years. She's been very successful at it. I don't know how many children she has. It kind of goes up and down, but she's highly desired. There's a waiting list. She, a little over 2 months ago, found a dad drop off their daughter, shoved her in the door, and left for work. The daughter was sick. My daughter knew enough to isolate her in a separate room until the parent came back. She couldn't get a hold of him and told him, please, do not bring him back sick. Well, she was tested. The girl actually was. Now, these are children 5 years and younger. The child really had a mild case of virus. What happened out of this is several parents from the other children did get sick, whether it's related to it or not. For 2 months, they had to close down the daycare center. They had to go through a big health cleaning. She got the virus even though she was vaccinated. Her husband got the virus. He was vaccinated and spent 2 weeks in the hospital. And that. None of the other children appeared to have gotten anything, but some of their parents did. And her second and third son, first, second, and all three sons got it. And they weren't allowed. They were young enough they didn't get vaccinated yet. So I see potential problems. And I think we can last another 3 weeks. Give this a week or two for the things. No, don't say no over there. I don't like that when you shake your head no. Of course, I do it too, so I apologize. And that. But let's see where the national health thing, what did Memorial Day do to us? Let's see if that meant anything. If nothing really happened, anything of significance, then we can open up. We'll be opening up by our own rules by the end of the first part of July. but I think we can last that long. I don't think anyone's wrong. There's no right answers per se, and I really respect people for talking. But I cannot support opening yet with a choice of and seeing the many ramifications and negatives that can happen. And I don't blame any of you for believing in what you think is right. I just have to go with what my heart, what my mind says is correct. So thank you for listening too. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hannibal?
Thank you. I agree with what Commissioner Murray is saying about, with his example about the ballparks and stuff like that. And from a logic perspective, yes, it makes sense to get rid of this because, again, we're talking 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then after that, all of us can choose. I support the concept of choice. However, again, I think we have to, as a board, be respectful of the fact that there is a percentage of people in our community who have appealed to us through email. None came tonight to speak, but have appealed for us to keep the mask mandate. And I guess from my perspective, I would be casting a no vote on their behalf, because I don't think that this should be something that is just a blanket yes that we all agree upon. And those folks out there who wrote some very logical, well thought out emails, at least have a sense that they were heard. Thank you.
Hey, anybody else want to weigh in? Okay. So, I'm thinking, oh, yes.
Sorry, I'm not really going to speak again, but I mean, I'm new to this. So I know that we're trying to sort this out, and are there any other options between full yes, full no? I mean, that's one thing I also want to, I'm just not sure. I would love to see progress of some sort. I just am adding that in. I don't know what happens if the vote is no, if there's a follow-up, if there's votes yes, if there's a follow-up, if there's a caveat, if there's we move forward through this. I don't know. I just needed to, I guess, share that. Thanks.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Murray.
It's okay if I respond to
Please do.
this? Okay, so sometimes it's technical, right? Yeah. So anyone has the authority to offer an amendment to the motion that's on the table. So the motion is to terminate this current resolution immediately. And therefore, the intent is there's no mandate, so you do what you want. Now, I'm just guessing that and I like your logic, that you would like to say, and I'm just giving this for an example, I could say, I'd like to make an amendment to only mandate at this particular place. I would like to, you know what I mean? To make a motion not to do something is not always necessarily appropriate, but to do something is more.
You can make revisions to the amendment.
Yeah. And I know that puts any individual in a spot if you're not prepared to think through that, right? You know, I don't know if that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so making it, you know what I mean?
It helps, thank you, but I still don't really know what to do.
So to go off of your point, is there a way to make mass optional with an end date to have us revisit? Because you can always put, I'm trying to help educate as well, that you can always put this back on the agenda
to revisit it. So it's not like it's one and done. You know, we could say we lift the mask mandate, we can make mask optional, and then as you see the data progress and as we see things go forward with summer school, we can then come back at an August meeting and say, hey, we want to relook at this because what we learned over the summer is not best for kids. So we're going to come back and say, put masks on in the fall. I mean, so it doesn't, I don't want you to think that this is a one all and done, that we can never come back to an issue, if that helps.
It does. I'm still struggling because so I'm just going to level with everyone. I think you could figure out from my very long, I don't feel like I can vote one way or the other because I would like to see progress, but I also would like to make sure that, as John said, that we're also being mindful of, there's how many of our students have not been able to be vaccinated, and I want to make sure that we're being cautious and considerate of their health needs as well. And I don't know what to do with that. So anyway, thanks for letting me.
So I've often looked at the last year and the positions that we as school board members have been placed to make decisions when they're not really clear, because you are absolutely correct. It really rang through in my mind when you said, I'm not an epidemiologist, I'm not a scientist, you don't have that information. All I think the community can ask of us as elected officials on this board is to hear everyone's opinion. I do respect everybody that came to the podium today, but I also recognize the variety of opinions that came through via email. I read those and they were very well thought out. Some were condescending, but sometimes when you're in this leadership role, you have to make the best decision you think you can, because I don't know whether saying yes is correct or saying no is correct. I'm conflicted too, but you still have to make a decision and move forward and then look at some of the data after you've made that decision and then correct it if it's wrong. And that's sometimes difficult. So I don't know if that helps or not.
Anybody else? So give me a minute to weigh in here, because I got to tell you that I had no idea. I mean, I've been reading all of the emails. I have been looking at the dashboards, and I am with you. I'm incredibly conflicted because the idea of causing harm is real to me. So, but I take I also respect, and I've been teaching. My school stayed in session the entire time. We didn't even take a pivot. I was in the building for 180 some odd days. In front of, now I'm teaching high schoolers. My students were incredible, compliant, I felt, and respectful, and understood what we were trying to do, whether or not they felt it was worthy, or valuable or not. But I saw the exhaustion. I felt the exhaustion. And as I was telling you guys just before this meeting, I'm probably at the top of the list of people who hate my mask. I really do. Because it is, you're on when you're, and I'm thinking about not just students, but also staff. You're on. You are on. And being on and masked is just draining. And then you add a lack of air conditioning. And all that kind of, and so I guess, and I do believe that the masks help. I really do. I think that they were especially important before we had vaccines as a way to just get a handle on it. It was something that had to be done, as awful as it felt. And I'm worried about, what if we find we have to go back? in the fall to full masking and how hard that's going to be. And so I am super conflicted about this. A couple questions, so logistical questions, Superintendent Pufall. How many kids I know I'm putting you on the spot here and I apologize, but this just occurred to me as I was, so part of keeping kids safe was also the number of people in the room, whether windows are opened, that kind of stuff. Can you just tell me what kinds of things are we, if we make it optional, what other protocols are in place? Are we still disinfecting everything and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, all the other protocols are still in place. It's frankly, it's easier to keep kids apart in the summer because we have 3,200 and not, 7,000 to 9,000, depending on where we were in the course of the school year. The same cleaning processes and procedures are still in place in terms of surface cleaning. And so really all the other strategies that were used throughout the course of the school year successfully, frankly, to keep kids and staff safe are still, in play. The question before you tonight is whether we want to modify the mask piece of that strategy list.
And I'm assuming that kids will get some outside time in a lot of these cases. Am I right about that?
Yeah, and we've allowed kids to not wear masks outside throughout this entire year. That has been our process, and so we've kept them kind of in cohorts, and we've kept them distanced, and we've kept them spaced on the on the playground in a way that was different than we have in a non-COVID or pandemic year. But they definitely do get outside. The difference, of course, from summer to most days during the regular school year, which has already been eloquently described by a number of you this evening, is that, it's summer, it's hot out, and a lot of our buildings are not air conditioned.
Right. Okay, thank you. All right. So we have a motion and a second. And I guess I'm thinking that we should probably do a roll call vote here.
Denise, can you read the motion again, please?
Yes, please.
Sure. So the motion on the floor is to cancel the School District of Janesville's mask mandate resolution effective immediately. Are we ready for the vote?
Yes.
Hayworth,
Yes.
Herda,
Yes.
Millard,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Ardrey,
Yes.
Dommershausen,
No.
Hanewall,
No.
Myers.
Yes.
That passes 7-2.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was possibly one of the hardest conversations I think we've had all year. And I appreciate everybody's the way that we did our due diligence, and thought through this and heard each other out. I really do. It's a tough thing. Thank you. Okay. So, I guess, okay, this feels weird. Oh. Okay. All right. I wish I felt that confident. Anyway, go ahead. Commissioner Hanawal.
Kathy, as several people have pointed it out, if data changes, or even if it doesn't, is this something that we will revisit before the fall, or is this, you follow where I'm going?
Absolutely. I guarantee that we will keep our fingers on the pulse of this issue, and if we have to go back, we have to go back. Okay, I don't know why I keep turning off my mic. All right, we're up to our Ppc Committee Report. Commissioner Hayworth.
Thank you.
we, in addition to some Neola that were in the consent agenda, if you have any questions on those, let us know. But we had two other topics. We had a presentation on the TAG program by Mrs. DeGraff and Stacy Peterson, just to learn a little bit more about where it's at, how it's progressing, and get an understanding of it. And we learned that each building has two, at least, TAG advocates. So that person's role is to make sure we have the programs in place, there's communications going home. And so this is for the 3 to 5% of students identified that need a lot more challenge in math and reading combined. There are, and they're held at Franklin and Edison. And what were the elementaries? Monroe? Forget the elementaries, but thank you, Washington. Thank you, Roosevelt. But there are also TAG enrichment programs happening at all the schools for if you're just math or if you're just reading. There are pull-out groups, and so there's a lot of enrichment being done for the students. So that was really exciting, and we thank them for that presentation. Secondly, we had a presentation about the achievement gap reduction report, and you'll see this come through in consent agenda twice a year. It's a grant that started in 2015, 2016. It's a 5-year grant. Those that were in it and awarded it at that time are the only ones now that no new schools can reapply. But what it is it funds up to there's 3 different strategies a K through 3 program can choose from. So ours is at Jackson and Wilson have this, and they've chosen to, one of the 3 strategies is reduce teachers pupil ratio. So, and that's been very successful as you've seen from AGR reports that we've had. So thanks to Kristen Moisen and Ashley Wright for their leadership on this at their schools. They both work super hard on this, and we're so thankful that we have this dedicated focus to help close those gaps of our students. Any questions? Or did I miss anything, Lisa or Liz, that you'd like to add?
There. Thank you. That was awesome. I just wanted to add one little caveat towards the end, that there was an encouragement from that program for, I think, our district to really think about smaller class sizes, as it benefits students in so many different ways. And that was a huge takeaway from that presentation, that it impacts basically every aspect of the student's academic experience. So that was very powerful for me, and I'm really grateful that I got to experience that presentation. Thanks.
And thank you for that. It is in your, it's in the board packet, so you can see it. The last page has some tables of the performance data, and how the last page has 2 tables that have that for you. Thank you.
Quick question, Michelle. And I missed this. I don't believe it was mentioned as far as the handoffs. And what I mean by handoffs from the elementary to middle school and then really on to the high school, that I know we've been lacking in that. And it's one of the areas that I think needs to be improved. But did I miss that? Was that mentioned at all?
That specific part wasn't, but we can get the information back for you. And we did give them feedback that, the schools my kids are at, I do get notices about the TAG enrichment, I would say quarterly. Now, another commissioner said, I haven't seen anything. So we did give them feedback that we would like to see a little bit more improvement in the communication in that role. So,
one more thing, Michelle, that was a great point. And also, I felt being a almost lifelong Janesville resident, knowing many people in the TAG program, having a student myself, I learned things about the TAG program that night that I never knew. And we have a really wonderful program. And I think I would like to see more education pieces to our community and school families about the program, just so that there's more awareness in general, because it's a great program and I think we should celebrate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was a great meeting. Okay, summary of board requests. I have one, and I'm going to look into it and get back to you on it. And I don't think I have any others. Future, what's that? Yes.
I mean, I have a couple other agenda items. Do you want me to do a request on each one?
Please do.
Okay.
Please do. Thank you. It helps
Can I
me.
give you the heads up what they're going to be?
Sure.
The international program update, an update on the athletic department AD selection process and what's going on with that. And also, how are we going to transition from administrators working from home and back into the office?
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Future meetings, dates and times.
Next Tuesday, June 15th, is the Finance Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting at 3:30 PM here at the Educational Services Center. And then the next Board of Education meeting is on Tuesday, June 22nd at 6 PM here at the Educational Services Center.
All right. Thank you very much.
Question.
Yes.
Finance building is at 2:30?
3:30.
3:30. Thank you. I'll change.
Thank you. Okay. Well, it looks like we've reached the end of our agenda. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.